That's what you need to do.
We're back in order, and thank you for your patience. But in regards to the Temple's applications, I would like to remind everybody, next Tuesday is a public hearing. If anybody else would like to join us to have any other information, you certainly can do that at that time. Now we'll move over to our proposed agenda, but I do need to read this into the record, and I'll do it on Tuesday as well. Council conducted an executive session for personnel and litigation on Thursday, August 21st, 2014, from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Council's legislative action, if any, shall be taken at the September 9th, 2014 council meeting. Moving right along, we have, if council, you'll take a look at Citizens Night meeting of August 7th, 2014, council work session of August 7th, 2014, and I know you just got the regular council meeting of August 12th, 2014 this evening, so you'll be able to have any questions at that time next Tuesday, but on the other two, are there any additions or corrections? Seeing none, we'll move over to the payroll report. Council, any questions or comments, or additions or corrections on payroll?
I haven't had a chance to review the new one, Mayor, but it is corrected. My understanding that it's,
Yes, it is.
It is, Councilman.
It has been.
Okay, we'll go move over to the list of bills and budget transfers. And Linda will start it off with... Oh, did I miss tax collections?
Yeah, you did.
Yes, I did. Oh, I apologize. Yes, I did. How about on our reports of our tax collections, any additions or corrections? Any questions? Thank you, Nick. I appreciate that. Moving over, list of bills and budget transfers. Again, Linda.
I have no questions, but just to say this is wonderful to look at and read.
oh, yeah, the
So,
new format.
The format's
Thank you, Mr. Lally.
fantastic. Thank you.
That's actually Tina Mueller.
I know, I
did
was
that.
hoping.
Thank you, Ms.
Tina,
Mueller.
thank you.
She just left, unfortunately.
No, other than that, I'm good.
Nick.
No questions this evening, Mayor.
Ron.
None.
Jim.
None, sir.
Paul.
No, sir.
Steve.
No.
Thank you.
Okay. That was pretty quick. And we're going to move over to the new business, 12-2-C, 12-2-C, 12-3.
What about the RFP?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, I thought that was going to be for Tuesday. Okay, for the RFP for the vehicle leasing, questions or comments?
I just want to go over that with council a little bit. Council, you have a spreadsheet in your hand. As council knows, in June, they authorized to advertise and bid for 2 fire trucks, 4 police vehicles, and 3 public works vehicles. We had 4 submittals on the RFP, 1 from Kensington Capital Corporation, 1 from PNC Equipment Leasing, 1 from First National Bank, and 1 from 911leasing.com. If council can go straight to the bottom, we bid this. I put it in an RFP for the fire trucks on a 10-year term and a 15-year term. And the other vehicles are on a 3-year term, except for the animal control truck, which is on a 5-year term. You go straight to the bottom of your spreadsheet, and if anybody else would like to look at the spreadsheet, they can. It's a public document. I have the 10-year totals going across, and I have the 15 years going across, except PNC bid on a 12-year term instead of a 15-year term. All the ones that are added up are the lowest annual payments. They're highlighted in yellow. My recommendation is PNC Equipment Leasing Finance because, as you can see, the total cost over the 10-year term is approximately $1.5 million. The annual payment will be approximately $204,000. Now, you could, if you go over to 911leasing.com down at the bottom on a 15-year term, their annual payment is lowered to $179,000. However, over the 15-year term, it's approximately almost at $1.7 million, which is about almost $200,000 higher over the life of the term of 15 years. Same thing as if you're buying a house on a 15-year mortgage or on a 30-year mortgage. Also, on the 15 or the 12-year for PNC, their annual payment would be $188,000, which is one of the lower ones on an annual payment, but over the life of the 12 years would be approximately $1.5 million. I'm recommending the council to vote on Tuesday for the PNC over the 10-year, if we can pay this off 10 years, because the annual payment will be $204,000, as opposed to 9/11 leasing's $179. We're paying $25,000 more per year, but we'll have it paid off in 10 years instead of 15 years. That's my recommendation to council. If they have any questions, they can ask me.
Counsel?
This is it? Like, there's not, after this was announced, there's not gonna be any more, hey, I can beat that price type thing going on?
This is it. This was bid, publicly bid.
Does this include any cash discount for the fire trucks?
Yeah, this will include that cash discount. As my understanding is, when we voted on that last month, that was included in there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was.
What's the average age of these vehicles?
The pumper
period of
is 18 years old, and the command truck, I think, is 16 years old. Am I correct?
Yeah, you mean the new ones or the old ones?
Well,
The new ones have
what's the
15-year
average
life,
age?
yeah.
I recommend that we go with the 10-year, and because the average age would be
Oh, you mean the life
the
expectancy?
life expectancy.
Well, that depends on how much
The
it's
usage.
run,
Yeah.
but
In the agreement, it's.
I mean, I'll let Ron answer that. He's a fire
Well,
chief.
We've, in the agreement, the municipal agreement that we have with the fire departments, the vehicle replacement cycle for these types of trucks has been 15 years. In the agreements past, we have agreed with council to try 20 years, and we, and the municipality feel like we got burned on that because the trucks were so beat by the end of that 20 years, we got next to no return on them, and we put a ton of maintenance money into them in that next 5 years. So we recommended for council on this last agreement to go back to a 15-year replacement cycle on those because, A, it didn't require as much maintenance on the vehicles. They weren't that beat yet. And at the same time, when you replaced it, you got a fairly decent buck.
So our total cost with PNC would be $188,000 for a 15.
Well, that's on their
That's an
12.
annual.
They bid a 12-year.
Okay, 12 years.
They bid a 12-year.
Is that more reasonable, Mr. Harvey,
Well, that's
with the vehicle?
just
Life
how long they're going to pay on it. That means you're going to have it 3 years with no payments.
Right.
That's all that means.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay.
Now we'll move over to the consent agenda, or the new business, if you will. 12-2-C, 12-3-C, 12-4-C, 12-3-ST, and 12-4-SUB. And I know we've had a lot of discussion on that, so Paul, maybe, or Mark, if you can give maybe a Reader's Digest, if you would.
What I'll do is I'll just introduce the applications, just to know what you guys are going to be concerned and voting upon at the legal hearing, which will be September 9th. Conditional use application 12-2 is the applicant is asking or requesting for you guys to allow them to permit the cut and fill operation of approximately 24,800 cubic yards of earth for site preparation for the construction of a temple and related site amenities. The Planning Commission recommended approval for this application at their August 20th Planning Commission meeting. Application 12-3C, the applicant is requesting of you to approve development on a steep slope or grade on this property. This property, the parcel 3, it consists of 22.755 acres. 6.926 acres is greater than 40% steep slope. 4.450 acres is between 25 and 40% steep slope. But they do say that the majority of development will be restricted to the milder slopes of the property. Just to keep that in mind.
Question.
Question.
Who determines milder slopes? Where does that,
That
what's
was
the
a
delineation?
phrase that was determined by their engineer.
Okay, I just find it ambiguous, but,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, that's what she stated at the planning commission meeting, and it's also in the application for land development report.
Mark, what are I see that they recommend approval.
Yes.
But with conditions.
The conditions are attached to each resolution of each conditional use application. You'll see that there are, for conditional use applications, 12.2C, 12.3C, and 12.4C. There's approximately 22 different conditions to each one of those resolutions. They're all the same for those three. Then you have conditional use site plan 12-3 ST, and you also have an additional 22 conditions. Paul and I worked on these. We can go through these each individually. If you guys have questions, I would take a couple minutes and read them because it does pertain not only to the development, why it's in process, but what's going to be required prior to and after the development of the site.
The conditions of approval, in addition to our normal ones, there's several in there that go above and beyond
Right.
what we typically do because of the sensitivity of this development.
You know, if council would like, I've spent a lot of time with Mr. Hugus, Mr. Shufo, involving all of this stuff. I've been involved in it quite a bit. At any given time, I know we can't all get together and sit down, but a couple of you at a time want to know just what's going on. I'd be more than glad to give you all my intake, if it would help you.
Or if you have any questions of us, we'd be happy to.
Yeah, I would recommend that everybody read each of these, and we're going to have a public hearing on Tuesday, and then I think that would be appropriate, at least in my opinion, anyway.
And you have the option as council members to add additional conditions that you would feel would be relevant for this development if you choose to do that.
I have a real quick question. If they're building the temple,
Yes.
and the road is a portion of that in the 5-year long term, if one or the other were denied, would they still be willing to go on? Like, let's say the road, just for instance, was denied. Would the
Well-
temple still be built?
We put the conditions in order that we felt that were prevalent towards the development. So if you're moving 24,800 cubic yards of earth and you deny that, pretty much you're not going to be able to
Shoots
proceed
everything
forward with the rest of the development.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if,
So if you go from top to bottom, Steve, if you look at the first conditional use,
Importance of order.
that has a direct impact on the next conditional use application.
it's a little confusing as far as,
Well, They said that they were going to spend approximately $1 million to put that road in down to Northern Pike. Is that correct?
They haven't given us a definitive
Well,
dollar
my
amount yet.
question is, if that's the case, if they're willing to spend that kind of money, why can't they use those funds to build the road off of Avery's Creek?
We've gone through different design options since 2012, several meetings, several options. That's a decision that they made. That was a business decision they made, that this is the plan that they wanted to bring forth. So, we've definitely talked about that. I see some pros and cons to both sides of it, but that's what they wanted to come
Well,
forth.
my
with.
only issue is the safety of Northern Pike. And
How about Bird?
building that road coming down to Northern Pike as a entrance and an exit for that area, I feel is very unsafe. I'm surprised that PennDOT simply approved it. I don't know what they saw, but I'm not a traffic expert, but I certainly see a lot of safety issues there.
Tom, that would be a question to ask the applicant why they're here on Tuesday night, and then you can weigh that factor as to your decision. Okay, can I continue, Mayor?
Please.
Okay, application 12-4C is another conditional use application. That's to permit the construction of a temple and spire that exceeds the maximum 35-foot height limit by 15 feet. Application 12-3ST, this is just the overall site plan, and the Planning Commission did recommend approval for application 12-4C. The applicant is requesting site plan approval to construct a 13,400 square foot two-story temple, a 1,466 square foot addition. Now, this 1,466 square foot addition is going to be constructed alongside and attached to the existing temple that's there now. And then they will use that as an accessory use if they are successful in getting these applications approved. A 264 square foot connecting wing. Currently now there is a priest home that exists on this parcel. Under the zoning ordinance, you're only allowed to have one and one principal structure within the zoning district per lot. So what they're going to do is they're going to connect the existing priest home to the new temple, and that's that 264 square foot connecting wing. And then later on down the line, they're going to construct 4 gazebos that I guess are prayer stations along the new entranceway. Planning Commission recommended approval with conditions. And the last application is 12-4 SUB. This is your subdivision. Applicant is requesting subdivision approval to consolidate and revise the lot lines of 4 original parcels 1, 2, 3, and 6 to create new parcel 1 consisting of 36.646 acres, new parcel 3 consisting of 22.755 acres, and new parcel 6 consisting of .768 acres. Planning Commission recommended approval, and just for the record, this property is located at 1449 Abers Creek Road in the S. Conservancy R2 Family Residential Zoning District. Are there
Any questions or comments, council?
Yeah, Mark.
Yes.
The
I do.
number 3, so 24 or 12-4-C, the permit to construct the temple and spire.
Right.
You mentioned earlier about when it exceeds the maximum foot, the height distance.
Yes.
They have to have 1 foot for every foot up. They got to have a foot outward, right?
Yeah.
How far are they within that?
They are, I believe,
Once you go past the 35 feet, like how are they well within that, or are they maxing out there?
no, they're well within the property. Let me give you the specifics on that. I do have a table here. Okay, the minimum side yard is 15 feet, and they are going to be 55 feet on the side yard. So they are stepping back. I apologize, 15 feet, they're going to be 25 foot back on parcel 3, and the rear yard's going to be 55 foot instead of 40 feet.
Now, the spire height, what number is that based on as far as the side yard? Or-
You have to step back a foot for every required yard, so it's a 40-foot front yard required in that zoning district, and 15-foot side yards. So they're going 15 feet up above. They need a maximum of 30 feet distance from each side yard.
Okay. Okay.
Any other questions?
And then the rear
or-
yard's the same way.
Any other questions, council? I just have a comment I'm going to make. Paul, did you have something?
No, go ahead.
Once again,
conditions are-
council, as I stated earlier,
There's
I'm
3
going to,
conditional use applications, 1 site plan application, and 1 subdivision application. You have 5 total applications. There's only 3 conditional. That requires the public hearing.
again, as I stated earlier, council, I'm going to request and hopefully you will turn down all the applications for, again, I certainly support the temple. If there's options other than going down that steep hill, I would hope that they would consider maybe Abers Creek. I don't know if that's possible, to build the road there. Apparently, Paul, you stated that there were other options that you talked with them about. You don't have to go into detail on that, at least not at this time. But my biggest fear is just like with old William Penn Highway, even though that was supposed to be private entity and us out of that altogether, we're still being sued because the council approved all that down there. Well, we're going to be doing the same thing if you approve it here. And I understand what you said, there may be a way to technically find out how it come down, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to get sued. And I'll tell you what, folks, we can't afford any more lawsuits. And I think that's the biggest issue for me as your mayor. And I would hope that the temple will consider, if there are other options, to please do that. I certainly support the growth of any church or temple. But again, I think enough information's been given out there on the safety issues, on the conditions of that hill. So I just hope you all will please consider that.
Well, I'm going to do the same thing, Mr. Mayor. I mean, when the time comes, I'm going to certainly, being the councilman, I live over there, and I see it every day, and it's just not only the roadway, everything going on back there creates a real problem. I live on Lolly Drive, but that one has nothing to do with the other. I walk that plan every day. If the folks that don't get a chance would just take the time, there again, I have nothing against the church, but what really upsets me, they don't take care of anything. Somehow, somewhere along the way, they got permission to put that stupid fence up all along Burt Drive. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my lifetime. If you ride along there, all those folks that live along the other side of that street, it's sad. And I find these grass-cutting guys, I stopped a guy one day, and I shouldn't have been doing that, but I did. He's got a big trailer, and he's dumping grass right over the fence. I mean, I'm sure you guys see it. And the fence is falling down everywhere, so you complain about they send somebody up there with wire ties to put the fence together. I mean, it's terrible. Nothing against the church, but I'm going to do everything in my power to see that doesn't happen down there.
Any other questions or comments, folks? We'll move over to resolutions, and Tim, if you would.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. We have 4 resolutions proposed for Tuesday's council meeting, and the first one is a resolution that was tabled at the July council meeting, a resolution to enter into a winter traffic services supplemental agreement with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for the 2014-2015 winter season. And I looked into this with PennDOT, and I have given council an email from one of their representatives as far as how they derive how much money they pay us for the roads that we take care of, we salt and plow for PennDOT. So that's, unless any council members have any questions about that for me.
So the total outcome of it was they're not going to pay us any more money.
Correct. Now, what did come forth from the Northern Pike meeting, which was a little bit separate that we had on Wednesday, is there is a winter severity check that we do get, and we did receive in April for about, I think it was $1,800.
I wasn't familiar with that.
Yeah, in addition.
News to me. And I believe they're going to allow us to go in with this co-service contract a little bit too. I mean, we could use that in regards to payback.
Oh, you mean the agility agreement?
The agility.
Oh, the agility agreement. Yeah, that, since you brought that up, that could be in conjunction with, and that's a very good point, with the Northern Pike issue with Northern Pike with respect to fixing the storm pipes on there, where PennDOT will do the work, and we're waiting for numbers from them on what it would cost. And then with the agility agreement resolution that we just passed, we would have an in-value, in-kind, quid pro quo service that we would deliver to them. It would have to be within a 5-year period. And part of that would be this winter services agreement, which I believe we get $13,000 for. However, if we entered into, and the numbers worked out with getting Northern Pike fixed, then we would not get the $13,000, but we would continue to do winter maintenance on those roads, which Northern Pike, coincidentally, is one of them. Okay. Any other questions on that?
If you would, Mr. Little.
Okay, resolution number 2 is a resolution exonerating the real estate tax collector from the collection of uncollected taxes for the year 2012. This is not the last year, this is 2012. Pat Fulkerson, our real estate tax collector, gave this, my understanding was presented to whom, I don't know, either the manager or the the director of personnel and finance last year, but there was not a resolution passed, and this is for the protection of the tax collector and also the municipality, that this is what he has collected and this is what is outstanding, and you have that backup material, and you have also that spreadsheet, which I believe every municipality in the Commonwealth uses the same spreadsheet that Pat has given to me. Any questions on that at all?
It's just a housekeeping.
Yeah, it's more or less a housekeeping item.
And it's done every year, folks.
Well, I want to go a little bit further, and it's just not a housekeeping item. It's important for the tax collector to present to council what he or she has collected for the year and what is outstanding. That is important.
That is correct.
Okay, number 3, a resolution under Act 205 of 1984, known as the Municipal Pension Plan Funding Standard Recovery Act, the 2015 Minimum Municipal Obligation, MMO, for the police and non-uniform pension plans. This right here is a resolution that is showing what will be budgeted and will have to be paid in for the 2015 obligation into the pension plans. Now, Act 205 doesn't actually require a resolution. Act 205 basically says it just has to be presented to council, but I always like to do this under resolution so it gets into the record and the auditors can take a look at it.
Questions or comments, council? Mr. Little.
Yeah, item number 4 is a late arrival on the resolutions that we just received yesterday. This is for the Monroeville Finance Authority, and I'll read it. A resolution approving a project to be considered by the Monroeville Finance Authority, which includes the proposed issuance of the authority's revenue bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to expect to exceed $50 million in loan of such proceeds to UPMC, a Pennsylvania nonprofit corporation, provided that the taxing power of the municipality of Monroeville shall not be obligated in any way with respect to the bonds, and declaring the financing of such projects as desirable for the health, safety, and welfare of the people in the municipality. This originally is just for a refunding, as they thought, but there's also new money that's going to be used out of that $50 million. And that's about all I know about it. If anybody has any other questions, either council or the public, they can talk to Ms. Dice that's here tonight, or Bruce when he comes back on Tuesday.
Questions or comments on this item? Thank you, Mr. Little. Chelsea, you're up.
I have nothing to report.
Ordinances.
Oh, I didn't know Bruce usually did that.
Yes.
The first one is an ordinance amending ordinance 848, regulating parking on St. Vincent Drive.
As everybody knows, that issue, we've discussed this. Questions or comments?
No, the ordinance is to satisfy several requests from the residents of St. Vincent Drive, purely to prohibit parking on the even side of the road, I believe it is.
Odd side.
Thank you.
You were close.
On the
You
odd
had a
side of the
50-50
You had a
shot. You
50-50
can't-
I was, and I took the wrong 50.
Well, don't feel bad. When I wrote the ordinance originally, I put the even side, so.
Thank you, Paul, very much.
It even says it right on the ordinance.
Oh, well, he was close.
Paul, was the issue, Mr. Clary, was the issue to avoid like staggering of cars for traffic flow, or?
The issue actually, yes, it was, when you have cars parked on both sides of the road, you just simply can't get through. You can't pass through. An overwhelming majority of the residents on St. Vincent did sign a petition that they did want this to happen.
Safety issue, too.
Absolutely.
Chelsea.
And the second ordinance is an ordinance authorizing the municipal manager to enter into an intergovernmental cooperation agreement or agreements with other participating municipalities and taxing jurisdictions of the Allegheny County for the purpose of forming, establishing, and joining a land bank to be known as the Tri-Cog Land Bank.
If you all remember, council, we had that Amanda Settlemeyer. She gave a wonderful presentation. Any other questions or comments? I think it's a great idea.
Blight to bright, which I thought was great.
That is correct.
Gives it a really good,
I agree. I think it's a great thing to get some of
Yes.
these blighted homes back on the tax rolls and fixed up.
yes.
Now, Mr. Little, once we do this, I mean, if council proceeds with this ordinance, where does it go as far as with the school district and then with the county?
Well, that's the big question. I mean, you have to have all three taxing entities that have to agree to this, and apparently Allegheny County is on board with it because the different seminars I've attended, Rich Fitzgerald spoke there at the one. So I would imagine the county is on board with this, and now the question becomes, will the school district, Gateway School District, be on board with it also?
It's almost a no-brainer. Why wouldn't they be?
Well, Counsel, if I may, can we maybe direct, you all direct maybe Mr. Little to attend one of the school board meetings and do a presentation with Amanda? Would you be amenable to that?
Yeah, Amanda Settlemeyer mentioned to me that she was going to meet with some school board members, not a quorum, obviously, but 2 or 3. Now, that meeting may have occurred already, I don't know.
Well, I think it'd be appropriate to go to a school board meeting and do that with Amanda. Go ahead.
And Amanda also did a presentation at the tax collection committee meeting. So a lot of the school board representatives were there. I'm not saying that it was the whole board, but I
Yeah, that
recall
was at
watching that.
our, when we have every 3 months, we have the entire Southeast Tax District attend.
Well, Paul Schott should be involved in this since he's the business manager.
Yeah, but you still have to have school board approval.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is rather than Tim go before the school board, Tim could go before Paul Schott and make the presentation along with Amanda, and they could present it to the school board with their recommendation.
The school board is aware, if you know, Chad Steubenport was here last month, because I spoke with him a couple days previous, that I was bringing this to council's attention, and I mentioned it to him. So I'm sure the school board is aware of it, and it's like with you, it's a policy decision for them.
Well, the only reason why I suggested that, Tom, is I think it gives it a little more credence, if you will, a little more oomph. But if we actually go to a public meeting, because they're on TV too, and I think it's a great idea. Why wouldn't, just as Steve said and some of you said, why wouldn't you want to clean up some of the blight
Well, they
properties?
benefit from it tax-wise as well.
Exactly, and they get a lot more than we do on that. Thank you, Chelsea.
No problem.
Okay, we'll go over to our reports of our municipal staff, and Chelsea.
Now I have nothing to report.
Okay, now we're straight. Tim, we're going to throw it at you.
Okay, the first item under my report is we do not have a delinquent real estate tax collector. This issue came up back in April or May, and there was some discussion, talk, and Mr. Fulkerson presented some material to council. And my understanding is that the elected real estate tax collector is, under the tax code, is the default delinquent real estate tax collector, from my understanding. And if Ms. Dice wants to correct me on that, or if there's anything in addition to that, please do so. And I spoke with Bruce Dice about this week, and suffices to say, an ordinance should be passed appointing Mr. Fulkerson as the delinquent real estate tax collector, if indeed council wishes to do that. So if council wishes to, at Tuesday's council meeting, direct me and authorize advertise an ordinance to that effect.
Council,
Please?
I think everybody's okay, right?
Move
We're
forward.
okay.
And that would be for the October meeting.
That is correct.
Yes, correct. Yeah, that's for the October.
Tim, there was an article in the Tribune Review today that they reported that Monroeville had 801 delinquent tax
Properties?
properties.
I can, out of 10,000 properties, I can believe that. 12, I thought it was 10,000. 12,000? Okay.
12 and change. Mr. Little, you have another item.
Yeah, the other item is the 2013 audit. The Finance Committee was given a presentation by Peter Van Cherry from Hozak and Speck last week on the 2013 audit. Mr. Lally and I, the Chief Financial Officer, attended that meeting, and that meeting lasted about 45 minutes. But what I wanted to do is just go over some of the highlights of the 2013 audit for council's benefit and also the public's benefit. But before I do that, I just want to read a list here before I go into the audit. Red Oak Court, Cabot Road, Ramsey Road, Monroeville Plaza, Pitcairn Road, Northern Pike. And those are just some of the roads that everybody in this room and council especially knows about, and issues of infrastructure we're dealing with. And I'll just mention roads, I won't go into stormwater issues that we have to take care of. And there's a reason why I'm mentioning that before I kind of go into the audit. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on the audit, but we have infrastructure to fix, and we only have so much money to fix it with, is basically my thesis of what I want to talk about here. First of all, as far as the auditor is concerned, everything with material respects is contained in the audit under the GAAP, generally accepted principles of accounting, so that first and foremost. In another item, this is what's called a CAFR. It's not just an audit. It's a comprehensive annual financial report. It's the highest financial reporting for a municipality in the nation. And we're one of the few municipalities in the Pittsburgh area that puts a CAFR together. And along with that, I want to commend, Mr. Lally here. Mr. Lally started on June 2nd here, and a CAFR has to be submitted by June 30th to the GFOA, Governmental Finance Officers Association. Their national headquarters is in Chicago. And it has to be submitted there by June 30th. And Sean started on June 2nd, and I thought when Sean started it'd be about a 50-50 shot at best we get this done, but he did it, and I commend him for that,
Hats
for getting
off
this,
to you.
and for getting this done.
I had a lot of help.
So hats off to you.
And also, if anybody wants a copy of this, it's on the web. Like I said, I don't want to go through a lot, but I just want to kind of basically give you an overview. The municipality's net position, now this is a net position, it's not a balance sheet, it's a net position. And basically, I'll explain what a net position is. I'll read it right out here. The statement of net position includes all the municipality's assets, deferred outflows, liabilities, and deferred inflows, except fiduciary funds. Fiduciary are basically pension funds. Net position, the difference between a municipality's assets, deferred outflows, liabilities, and deferred inflows, is one way to measure the municipality's financial health or position. Over time, increases or decreases in a municipality's net position is an indicator of whether its financial health is improving or deteriorating. Our net position decreased $3.8 million in 2013, 22.5%. Now, with that being said, that doesn't mean we lost $3.8 million. I mean, because you have assets there that are depreciated. But our net position, as I said, it shows the financial health of the municipality. A net position is relative. I mean, we may have a net position of $13 million, and ours may be average. Pitcairn may have a net position of $3 million, which may be fantastic. So that number is relative. However, it has decreased, and it has decreased 8 times over the past 10 years. And again, we had a great net position, let's say going back to 2004, and that has decreased through the years, and it started to really decrease in 2008. And a lot of that was because we put $5 million into an OPEB fund. All right, we had $5 million, which came from selling of the sewer authority or the sewer works to the municipal authority, and we got money for that, and a lot of that went into the OPEB fund. Moving along. Speaking of cash itself, is probably everybody knows too, our fund balance, with the net position, our fund balance has decreased, and it has decreased in 2013 to the tune of $1,471,210. So that's a decrease, and I said this at the budget hearings back in March, that our fund balance, and this is all funds combined, is $3.9 million. The general fund is $3.1 million, which is good. Okay, the fact that we have a policy that we want to try to keep a fund balance, we used to have between 15 and 20%, and that was decreased between 7.5% and 15%. Our fund balance, general fund balance, is about 12%, which is okay, but that is decreased over a 10-year period also. And you can go to the back of the, as I said, you can get the CAFR on the website, and there's all kind of statistical information in the back. But what this does is this shows what the financial health of the municipality is. The financial health is not bad, but corrections have to be taken. And one of those big corrections that we did take in March, we raised taxes, all right? And that is going to shift this next year where that net position will hopefully increase. And it's like changing an aircraft carrier. When you start moving it, it's very slow, and that's where we are right now. We're trying to change course right now. And I said this at the budget hearing, a tax increase should have been in the municipality 5 years ago. And it wasn't for various reasons, okay? And it had to be done, and it's just bad medicine because, as I said, I read off a list here: Red Oak Court, Alpine Village, Ramsey Road, Monroeville Plaza, Pitcairn Road, and Pitcairn Road's a county road. I know that, in Northern Pike. And that may be just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, we have a lot of expenses coming up here, and our revenue is basically even, although our wage tax has been increasing due to Act 32, and the collections are better. But that's even leveling off right now. As far as the pensions are concerned, the pensions of the non-uniform and the police are good. They're not great, but not too many municipalities in the Pittsburgh area or in the state of Pennsylvania are good. We had, obviously, contributions from the police and the non-uniform, and we also get money from the state, and we have to make contributions into the pension plan, which is the resolution I just alluded to, we just have on the agenda for Tuesday. We went from a net position in January 2013 to $36,764,618 to a net position at the end of the year, $43,237,618. Now, that's also because of the contributions, but it's also because of investments also. So the pension plans are good, and I just want to, as everybody asks a question here, let's see, where's my tabs here? Okay, the pension, there's what's called a funding ratio. The non-uniform funding ratio is about 88%. I mean, it's funded 88%, which is good. Okay, the police is about 72%, which is okay, about fair. Everybody has heard about the city of Pittsburgh 5-6 years ago. Their pension was funded at 29%, which was really bad. And then they tried to get the parking authority money. Mayor Ravestall tried to get parking authority money. It didn't go through with council in order to fund those pension plans. So those ratios are not bad as far as the pensions are concerned. That's basically the highlights of the audit. I can go into a lot of detail, and I could talk another hour on this, but I'm not going to.
Thank you.
But if anybody has any questions from council or the public, if you want to get it off the website, you can get it off the website. And if you want to email me, call me, and if you have any questions for me or Mr. Lally, we'll be more than welcome to take them.
Thank you.
Okay.
And we'll go over to the municipal engineer. Paul, any other words of wisdom?
None.
Sean, Lally, any words of wisdom?
I have none.
Very good.
I think somebody must have threatened you guys.
Go ahead, Mayor.
Oh, okay.
Just threatening everybody tonight, aren't you?
Linda, your report.
I'll keep it short. I just want to thank everyone for all the birthday wishes that I got. Secondly, school's open now, so to remember to watch out for the kids coming and going to school. Watch your speed. There's a saying I love that is, remember to always drive like your kid lives there. So just keep that in mind. Secondly, while I am talking about the school, I'd like to let the public know that the Gateway School District has decided to hire a police officer from Pitcairn to be their second SRO officer. Please understand that Monroeville Police did offer one of their own for that position. The Gateway School Board rejected that offer and hired from Pitcairn without any notice to this council or, I think, even to the police department here. They don't have a duty to notify anybody, but I just wanted the public to be aware that they did not, even though we offered up one of our own to have that position. So, and with that, that's all I have for tonight.
Nick.
Yes, Mayor, just one announcement from the Recreation Department. There's a reschedule of one of the summer concert series. There's going to be a concert actually this Sunday, September 7th, at the Community Park West, at the amphitheater, Tall Trees Amphitheater. The Holidays will be playing there, an oldies band. Show starts at 6:30. It runs from 6:30 to 8:30. They're always a nice event, but it is this Sunday, September 7th, 6:30 to 8:30 at the community park. And that's all I have for this evening.
Ron?
Unless council has any other objections, I still am waiting for direction on getting that home rule charter committee together. I would really like to get that moving. I know there's some residents out there that would also like to
And I concur with that.
see that happen. So even if the application process to be on the committee was started or something like that. I just want to thank Mike Adams and Public Works for all the work they've done in my ward. Every time I have called them and asked them to make an improvement, whether it's roads or whatever, they have always completed the work, and the residents are very happy with it, and so am I. I know there's some more to do, and I know they're getting pounded, but so far, so good. They've done very nice work, and I just wanted to thank all of them. The rest I'll save for Tuesday night.
Jim?
Yes, sir. Couple things going on down at the Convention Center. September 5th through the 7th, meeting of the Mark Tattoo Arts Expo. Ron? September 10th.
Are we
Western-
both going?
Yes, sir. September 10th, Western PA Safety Day. September 11th is one that I think most should try to attend for sure. Celebrate Monroeville, emceed by our friend Kathy Sevilla. September 14th, the Wedding Clickers Bridal Show. And September 14th also is the Baby Palooza. One other thing real quick. Most of you know that I'm involved with the Spirit of Christmas. The stuff that we do for the children every year, myself and Mr. Hillgrove. This year, we're going to have Christmas in September, the 29th, at Pugliano's on Route 286. We invite everybody that wants to stop down. We have some giveaways. We'll have a DJ. We ask anybody that might want to show up to bring an unwrapped toy. For those that aren't aware, we do probably 650 children and 300 and some families every year, so we try to get as much support as we can. With that, I'm done.
Paul? I have about an hour and a half worth of stuff to go through, so just bear with me.
Can I throw something?
I got nothing for that? No. I just have a few short things. First, I wanted to thank Chief Cool for coming up and reading those letters. And quickly, I don't know if I've ever said this in public, though, it's never been a secret, but big supporter of you, of the utmost confidence in your leadership of the department and the integrity of the department. Thank you very much. On the police note, we have, don't forget, we have a Crime Watch meeting, September 27th, number 4 Fire Hall.
22nd.
22nd.
22nd, that's what I said, isn't it?
There you go again.
22.
I slur my words. Crime Watch, September 22nd, at number 4 Fire Hall at 7 p.m. And finally, I just wanted to announce for our senior center, some breaking news. The Monroeville Senior Center, Citizen Center launches the new Silver and Fit program targeted for older adults. This is in addition to the Silver Sneaker program, then I'll be offering Silver and Fit Exercise and Healthy Aging program. It's available to people who are Medicare eligible and have purchased Medicare Advantage or Medicare supplement coverage. That includes the Silver and Fit program as an added benefit. If you don't know if you're eligible to join the program, contact your health plan, and their office is also available to help. You'll receive a free membership to the center with usage of the facility, free Silver and Fit signature exercise classes that will be offered twice a week, and there's free admission to the Silver Sneakers classes. Sign up at the main office, bring your Silver and Fit card and your health insurance card with you when it's time to register. And finally, the Crime Watch is September 22nd.
The
Before
entire
at 7
community.
p.m.
We want everybody to come from the community.
Everybody from the community is invited. Please come. And with that, I'm done.
Steve?
Yeah, I'm still receiving calls. I just wanted to know is there any change in the status of the Pitcairn Road? Do we know of where we are with that?
The last I spoke with them, Steve, October 1st is their start of construction.
Oh, really? So there's
Yes.
something's going to start?
Yes.
Great,
have-
that's great.
Is there a
Residents will
duration?
be happy.
I did not hear a duration.
Maybe
wouldn't
before
think that
Christmas, huh?
I would hope.
That'd be a nice present.
And lastly, I'd like to thank Senator Brewster and all the reps that showed up for the state, I guess I'd call it mandates meeting that we had Wednesday. I don't know that it was all good news. It looks like we are responsible for all the storm lines on state roads now, all the crossings, the catch basins. So that's going to add a lot, Mr. Little, to your budget, our budget.
That's his budget now.
But we did get some reinsurance from Senator Brewster and Mark Kozik, the reps that are going to take that back to Harrisburg and hopefully
Change
do
the law.
something with it or change the law, but that may take some time. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Tom?
Just a couple things. Joe, if you could put the camera on Art Vogel, please. Okay, I want to say thanks to Art for all his support in taking our photos as we go forward. And Damian Basiglia, Joe, could you show Damian on this? I don't know if I can. Can't find him.
He's hiding.
Okay. And then Jay said, thank you, guys. You're always here for us. I really appreciate it. Mr. Lally, Mr. Chufo, and Mr. Hugus, thank you for your participation tonight and your help.
He said this is your name, right?
That's all I have to say.
Thanks.
Okay, I'll be very brief as well. Again, Chief Cole, thank you for your both letters. And the reason we've had Mr. Adams here all evening, oh, you want to come up and say us 3 words? Please do.
Obviously, thank you for the kind words, and certainly the support of council makes my job a whole heck of a lot easier. I wanted to say something. I threw it together because it was just happening when I was coming up the steps to come to the meeting. You know, the men and women of our police department have done an outstanding job. And, we reorganized a bit here, and it's moving very smoothly, actually. And tonight, just as a side note, we've had a couple burglaries, Garden City area. They were kind of bounced around a little bit. And the patrol division, about 3 or 4 days ago, established after responding to burglaries, some information. And the detective division tonight put it together and went to a location to make a contact with the suspects. And when they did that, the suspects showed up, and they had enough to make an arrest on the burglaries. But the unique part about it was there was another burglary on Stroshine Road, and that person hadn't even known about it yet, wasn't even reported, and they were able to solve that because of the items they found in the car. So on behalf of the police department, did an outstanding job today. Cleared 3 burglaries at least, probably more, and that's just doing good police work, going back to the basics of patrol and investigations. That's what happened there. So I'm very proud of the guys today, and again, thanks for the kind words.
Good job, Chief. Mike, I know you've been here all evening, and I do apologize. A little longer than I thought it was going to go. But the reason Mike's here and invited up, I don't, relax, Mike. I'm not sure that we're going to need you. Maybe we will.
No, Mike could have left after the vehicle bids. I just wanted him here for that in case there's anything on that. That's
He's
all.
sitting back there throwing daggers at you.
Oh, well, you can go then, Mike, go.
You could have left that, you could have left 45 minutes ago.
Well,
He used to be on 7 a.m.
you didn't even stutter when you left, Mike, did you?
No,
See you,
he's
Mike.
running. Good night.
He's just mumbling at you.
Oh, no, I can hear him.
Be
That's all.
tough
He could leave.
always.
Poor guy. At any rate, though, I've had a lot of discussions with several members of council, and it's in regards to our animal control vehicle, if you will. There's been some discussion that maybe we should look at an RFP, a request for proposal to maybe shop outside and look around. I'm not saying that we're going to get rid of that position. Even if you, as council, would decide to even go to an outside entity, that employee will not lose their job. They would certainly go back into Public Works, where their services are much needed as well. The reason I'm bringing this out publicly is because I think this is an issue that before Tuesday, you all need to think about. Do you want to hold this up? Do you want to proceed forward? I spoke to Mike. He said even if you buy the truck and you still bid it out, he can still use the vehicle within Public Works. All they have to do is, I guess, just make some changes from the animal control position to make it work, work within Public Works. So again, this is something we should be talking about publicly. This is no national secret stuff. What are we going to do, folks?
You want an opinion?
I certainly do. I mean, I've talked to enough of you. We needed to bring that out, and I know where you're going to go, Ron, but we'll go there. Go ahead.
I believe that we should maintain the service we have. I think the public likes it. I'm not saying that there can't be a different deal on call-outs that cost us a lot of money. I'm just saying that I think that it's another service that I think the municipality provides its residents. I think we would lose out a little bit if we tried to contract it out, but I don't know. Maybe it is worthy of getting a price from somebody. I just experienced it all my career. Maybe there could be a better deal because every time the current person gets called out, it's, costing significant overtime. So, maybe there's a flat fee we could work out, with the union.
I'll just
or whatever.
eliminate the overtime if we could,
Well,
except for emergencies.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Steve.
My comment is that I just found this out lately, that I guess years ago, we used to allow people to trap. We'd give them traps, and then if they'd catch an animal, say something in their garden, a groundhog or whatever, we eliminated that years ago. Now, from my understanding, we don't give the traps out anymore, but the people that have their own traps, say you catch a squirrel, I don't know, groundhog, whatever, they'll call our police department. The police will send the ACO out to pick that animal up. That's huge cost. I mean, we have two-hour minimum on our overtime. So if the ACO is called to my house to pick up a groundhog, the taxpayers are charged two-hour minimum.
And that's
Me
about
personally-
Well, that's 2 hours of time and a half, right?
At time and a
Yes.
half. And me personally, if I catch an animal in a trap, I take it for a ride somewhere and let it go, to the woods or whatever. I mean, why
That's
would
not-
we be responsible?
Oh, that's not you.
Why would we be responsible to come to a resident's house and pick up an animal that they trapped
Like,
at
I have one,
that cost?
I have one question. What does the ACO officer do while he's not picking up animals? What does he do?
I think he.
This is why I wanted Mike
He
here.
maintains the center.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
I didn't know you were going to bring this up, or else I would have told him I
JJ.
wanted him here.
He maintains the center.
I said-
He
That's why I wanted
takes
him here.
care of the animals that are injured. He takes those to a vet. And that is paid not by the municipality, that is paid by volunteer funding that comes in. He feeds the animals, and all the food is donated to the shelter. The municipality doesn't pay for the food, and he maintains the shelter.
I've never been to the shelter, so I
Well,
understand.
you ought to go over.
Well, we'll-
Well, you know what?
They're,
Over-
Go ahead.
I mean, you started the discussion, but
Sure.
there's 333 hours
Public Works.
overtime as of July.
I know.
Yeah.
That's from January till July.
Overtime.
333.50 hours of overtime.
And that's a time and a half.
That's just at July, till July, that's time and a half. And not that, whatever, it is what it is, but I'm just saying there's 333 hours.
Well, but here's the other issue, and again, Tom, and I know you're a big advocate for the animal control position. I don't think anybody is really against it, but we do have to look, if there's this is just my opinion, if there's a company can do it, and we'll never have the exact same service, I don't think,
Well, you never get it.
but if we can get something close, we're putting
Well,
about $200,000
Mr. Harvey
a year on.
Mr. Harvey may mention that when he was still a police officer, that if they had, let's say, an animal that was hit by a vehicle or something like that, that they would put it alongside the road and notify the animal control officer that there was a carcass, whatever it is, and that they would pick it up the next day, not come out that night and get the overtime and eliminate the overtime as much as possible. Now, I don't believe you can eliminate it completely because there are issues with the the deer and larger animals that need to be
But
serviced
if we,
right away.
but
Can I-
let
can
me
I-
just throw- go ahead.
Quick question. The facility down there, maybe I'm wrong, isn't it maintained a lot by volunteers?
Yes,
Why
yes.
could we not look at, I'm just guessing, why could we not look at outsourcing that position, but keeping the facility?
Well, that's
Right.
the idea. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with that. And make it a no-kill shelter like it is now.
It's a no-kill shelter
That is
today,
correct.
yes.
Well,
yes.
yeah,
I mean, that's
keep
just an
that.
idea.
I'm just throwing out there that about 200,000 a year goes out when you count the vehicle, the salary, the overtime, the benefits, and some.
Well, you're going to pay most of that, no matter what. With
But
the-
his services would go back to Public Works where we can use that. And Tim and I talked a little bit, we're probably, even if we make this move and if we can get a similar service, we can save anywhere from 40 to 50,000, maybe more per year. And you just heard what he read on our financial report. We're not the best shape, we're not in the worst shape, but if we can still maintain a
We have
good service.
infrastructure issues too.
Yeah, but if we can maintain a good service and save some money, I just think we're being good stewards of the money. I mean, again, and maybe there's nobody out there that can do that. And if there's not, then we just keep the ACO. I mean, it's just that easy.
There's.
What could it hurt?
You
But
can
we have to
possibly
adjust
look at
some
ways
things.
of cutting the overtime
Yes.
down. And a simple way would be, hey, we don't come to your house and pick
Right, right.
Right.
squirrels and groundhogs up.
Right.
Or do it during the workday.
Yeah.
Or, then you get into some issues if the animal's caught at night, to leave them in a cage.
What oversees those procedures and policy? I mean, I know obviously probably the Public Works contract probably has to do with like the overtime as far as the 2-hour minimum. But what about as far as, okay, do we pick up animals at off hours or not? And some of the things we provide,
Well-
where are those policies at? Is that in the job description, I guess, Mr. Little?
I don't know if that specifically is in a job description, but if I could throw a suggestion out there, but obviously I'd have to look at the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement. I mean, if you have an animal control officer, I don't think that you get a lot of calls from residents at 8 o'clock in the morning, or 9 or 10 or 11 o'clock, and most of the time it would probably be from 11. You could have a different shift for the animal control officer to cut down on overtime. And again, I'd have to look at the CBA to see what, usually management rights in the CBA stipulate you can create different shifts. Now, with that being said, I don't know. I'd have to take a look at it.
But what would it hurt still to look at an RFP?
Right, wouldn't that be the prudent course of action, is
I
to get
think
some
personally,
solid
but
numbers
this
so
is
we
your
know what
all
we're looking
calls.
at, instead of guessing.
Sure, that's
Trying to-
council's call.
This is all 7 of your decisions. I'm just throwing it out.
Doesn't hurt to look.
Doesn't hurt to look, that would be my.
Right. But I think that the council should educate themselves more with the facility and with the responsibilities that the animal control officer has. And I know that one person would be more than happy to give you a tour and give you an idea what the volunteers do and how they fundraise and things like that. I'll give you one good example. There was a boxer pit bull mix that was injured. And when the officer went over to check on it, he thought the animal was dead. He realized that the animal wasn't dead, and he took the animal to the vets. The animal survived and is living happily in my home today.
But again, Tom, I don't think that we're saying don't
Harvey,
do
it's
that.
very happy, very, very happy.
I could be wrong here, but Doug, doesn't the police department do most of the call out for animal control? I mean, if somebody calls for animal control after hours,
Yes,
isn't
they
it
do.
the dispatch center?
The rule, the officer requests the supervisor, and the on-duty supervisor approves it to have dispatch.
Yeah,
call
so
it.
the
That's how it
supervisor
works.
approves his call out.
I mean, this happened before, even with Marshall Bond. Marshall Bond tried to, years ago, take the phone calls to do that. That lasted about two or 3 days, and then it was just too many times at 2 o'clock in the morning stuff. But, I mean, it does take a workload off the police department, though. It does, it does make a difference for the officers. They have something they can, I mean, an example, it just happened, like one of the birds, those Canadian geese got hit by a car on Haymaker Road, and it was, had to be put down. It was just, it was,
Making a
the
lot
kind
of
of,
noise.
kind of stuff that you get involved in. Deer strikes, of course. Unfortunately, we see a lot of them. And in some cases, they're blocking roads or, trying to get them off the highway. So there's issues with that. Certainly the animals themselves, the domestic pets. So it does give us an option. It's just more than just, dogs and cats.
But again, I would still think that there's companies out there can still do the same service. And I think it behooves us to look. I mean, what's the very worst case scenario? Nobody can fit the bill, we move on.
Right, we
Doesn't
need to
hurt to
look.
look.
Okay, then let's look. I say yes, let's look.
So can we direct Tim to do that?
Tim, please do
Tim,
that.
please do that, would you?
Well, we can have it as a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to have Tim do that.
I'll
Well,
second
at
that.
the
Tuesday.
council, Tuesday.
You wait here until Tuesday.
And with that, that's the end of my report, and I do thank you. Is there a motion?
Wait a minute, just
Motion.
one more thing. I wanted to compliment, I think the police department had to do with this, but if most of you noticed, at least I've noticed, that we don't see the solicitors on the street corners much anymore.
Oh, yes, you're
I
right.
think they've been kind of moved on, so.
The one
Thank
gentleman's
you.
still down here by,
I think it's chased around, but.
yeah.
Good job.
That
No,
one
motion.
like free.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you and good night.